I'm Katy Jane and thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel this week. So this week I wanted to go with a gold Makeup Geek eyeshadow eye. So today I'm going to be using just Makeup Geek eyeshadows, and I've kind of gone for a goldy theme on my eyes and a slightly darker lip. So guys, if you want to see how I created this look, please keep watching. So I'm going to go in first with That Girl by Beverly. I'm just going to put that all over my skin just to prime it while I go and work. I start on my eyes. So I kind of just like dabbed it all over. I probably use a little bit more than say what you're supposed to use, but I really like this because it kind of just gives you a nice bright evenness of your skin, although mine is now looking very red. So I'm just going to blend that all in with my fingers. So now I've primed my skin, I'm going to move straight onto my eyes. First what I'm going to go in with my Painterly by MAC just to prime my eyes. And I'm simply just going to take my middle finger and I'm just going to press it on as if it was like cream. I find with Painterly it definitely works best with your finger rather than applying it with brushes. So I'm just going to apply that all over up into my brows. As you can see guys, I have already done my eyebrows, but I have a full tutorial of my eyebrow look below on my channel, so I will link it below. So now I've primed my eyes, I'm just going to grab some sellotape. I just bought this from W. Smith, it's really standard stationary sellotape, and I'm just going to cut it into 2 rectangular squares like I did earlier. As you can see, it kind of like not too long, not too short, and I'm just going to place it underneath, slightly underneath my lash line on the bottom, like so. And I will explain a little bit later why I go slightly underneath the lash line. Now I'm going to go straight in with my eyeshadow, and the first shadow that I'm going to be using today is called Creme Brûlée, and I'm simply just going to take my 221 brush by Zoeva, and I'm simply just going to run it from the outside in all along the crease area, and we're just going to use this as a transitional colour. So I'm simply just going to keep on buffing it in and maybe go in like 3-4 times until I'm happy with the colour and consistency of it. So you can buff it a little bit up. What you don't want to do is go too far up because we don't want our flick to be too long. I'm just going to go one more time and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So the next colour I'm going in with is called Cocoa Bear, and all the eyeshadows that I'm using today are by Makeup Geek. And then I'm just going to take my 231 Luxe brush by Zoeva, and I'm going to use the same motion that I did to start with. So I'm just going to buff it in from the corner into the middle of my lid, and I'm just kind of focusing on the outer corner and just buffing it into the crease. I'm not going to go as far out with the darker colour because it's really key that we have like a really nice fade. So I find if I keep going in and using less and really building with the colour, whereas going in with a lot of product, I think it's very hard to work with. So it's a lot easier if you just keep on going in 3-4 times until you're happy with the colour. And then I'm just going to bring it slightly round there. So as you can see, we're just building up a really nice shape and just adding a little bit more depth in the end. And then I'm just going to go over this and just make sure that right in the corner it is a little bit darker. This Cocoa Bear is one of my favourite eyeshadows by Makeup Geek, and I genuinely think it's probably their best selling because every time I see someone do a tutorial or I'm like, wow, what's that brand? It always ends up to be Cocoa Bear. So now I'm happy with the density of that brown. I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. The next eyeshadow I'm going in with is called Corrupt by Makeup Geek, and it's a matte black. Then I'm going to stick with my 231 Luxe brush by Zoeva. I'm just going to put like a tiny little bit of black. Black isn't a very forgiving eyeshadow, so I'm just going to use a tiny amount and kind of just slowly build up like we have done as well. And then just going to start at the very corner. I don't want to go too far out with this, but just really buff it along the lash line and just at the very corner. Kind of where your lid crease ends. You just want to kind of buff it in there. And once again, I'm just going to go in about 3 or 4 times and just really build that colour up. The next 2 shadows I'm taking is Magic Act and Untamed, and I'm going to be using them together. So first of all, I'm going to take my flat brush by MAC, and that's a 230. I'm just going to take my Slay All Day Setting Spray by Joe Cosmetics. I'm just going to spray the end of my brush once, just so when we use this Untamed gold eyeshadow, we're going to get a really nice shine out of it. So the pigment, I feel, is going to be like popping out even more. So I'm just going to press that onto my lid. And I hope you guys can see, but the shine is really coming out, and I feel that's because we're using this slightly wet. And I'm just going to dab this on all over my lid. Then just for the corner bit, I'm going to be taking the Magic Act, and I'm just going to put that onto my damp brush as well, and I'm just going to blend that right into the corner and down towards my tear duct. As you can see, I hope, that it kind of goes light to gold and then into the darker matte shadows. And I'm just going to make sure they're all blended together by just going over it all with a light sweep. So next on the eyes, I'm just going to be taking my Tom Ford eyeliner, and all I'm going to be doing is just running a very thin line on my lash line, just to make sure when we apply those lashes there's no gap, and you can see that it just adds a little bit more depth. I'm not going to go all the way up with this liner today because I wanted this to be a tutorial for those that aren't that confident with liner, to show you that you can still get like a really nice crisp line with sellotape. So I'm just going to do that on the other side as well. So the lashes that I'm going to be using today are the Huda Beauty lashes in Scarlett, and I've actually already applied them. Next, almost like the best bet, is I'm just going to take the sellotape and I'm just going to peel it away from me. I don't tend to pull it that way, I tend to pull it away from you just in case there's any eyeshadows on the sellotape so it doesn't fall, and I'm just going to do the exact same on the other side as well. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to focus on my skin, and then I'm going to come back to the eyes and do the underneath in a little bit. So today the foundation that I'm going to be using is the Luminous Silk, and I use shade 4. And I'm just going to be taking my damp beauty blender, and just by dabbing it all over my skin, I'm just going to really build that coverage. So this is such a beautiful foundation. I don't feel like I need too much of it. I kind of just dab about 4 pumps on the back of my hand, and then I just kind of dab it all over. Once I'm happy with that, I've just like blended it all over my beauty blender, I'm just going to be taking my Pro HD concealer. So if you can get a focus on that, and I'm going to be using shade Porcelain. And just because I want to brighten up underneath my eye area, I'm just almost going to do a V, bring it down a little bit, and just fill that in. So I've gone slightly lighter with, it's just a concealer. I don't think it's a highlighter, but I'm kind of using it as a little bit of both. So I've gone slightly lighter in the shade that I would have normally gone for. And then I'm just going to do a triangle there as well, end of my nose, and a triangle there as well. Like so. And then I'm just going to take my damp beauty blender again, and I'm just going to blend that out. I'm just going to be really careful that I'm trying to get the concealer as close to the line as I can, but I'm trying not to smudge it, because at this point if you do smudge it, it's a little bit of a pain to get that crisp edge again. Now that I'm happy that that's all blended in, I'm going to be taking this. So this packaging doesn't actually look very pretty or anything, but I can promise you say it is the best translucent powder that I've ever bought or tried. So Jaclyn Hill recently did a video tutorial on highlighting and contouring, and she used it to bake, and I was like, oh okay, and she raved about it, and then I was like, oh, it's quite affordable, actually quite affordable, it's really cheap, it's like £6 each, and you get so much in it, you get 3 ounces. And I think honestly it's changed my life. So I've got one for myself and I use one on my clients, and if I've done your makeup recently, you'll know that I've been raving about this to all of you guys. So take a damp beauty blender, and I'm just going to get a little bit on the end like so, and I'm just going to go underneath my eye area. So if we compare it to other translucent powders, I just find that the texture of the powder is so fine. Like, I used to use MAC's translucent powder in my kit, and this is so much finer, so it doesn't really give a cakey look at all, but it literally keeps your makeup on all day, and it just gives you that really flawless look. As you can see, it's kind of adding to my highlight too. So then I'm just going to be taking my Zoeva 101 Luxe Face Powder Blush, and I'm literally just going to buff all that powder off. And as you can see, it just leaves a really nice kind of like matte, flawless base without looking crazy cakey. I love it. It's amazing, guys. You've got to get it. I will link it below, but it's literally changed my life. So now that I've done my base and my concealer, I'm just going to go underneath my eye and add a little bit of colour. So first I'm just going to be taking my Fasinating white eye pencil by MAC, and I'm simply just going to run that along my lash line. As you can see, it's really just going to slightly brighten my lashes. So I kind of just don't want this look to be too heavy, because I am going to be using a little bit of a dramatic lip. And then I'm going to be using the flat brush that I used earlier by MAC, and I'm going to take back the Cocoa Bear eyeshadow by Makeup Geek. I'm just going to put it a little bit at the end of my brush, and I'm just going to run that along my bottom lashes. And then next, just to finish off the bottom eyelashes, I'm just going to use my Haughty Naughty mascara by MAC. And just be really careful that I'm not getting the mascara on the white, but that's just going to really open up your eyes. Now for the final touches on my skin. So today for contour, I'm going to be using my matte bronze powder by MAC. And I'm going to be taking my 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek Brush. So I'm just going to be working from the middle of my ear, kind of down to the apples of my cheeks, and I'm just going to go back and forth and just really build up that colour. This is one of my favourite bronzers, because I find that it's not too orangey. Also, it's dark enough to be noticeable. Then I'm going to do the exact same on the other side, giving myself cheekbones. I think this is the point of the tutorial where I get really excited that I'm so close and that I'm nearly there that I go a bit wild, so I do apologise. And then I'm just going to go slightly underneath the chin, add all on my hairline up until the temple, but we want to leave the temple clear. Also, just to add a little bit of contour to my nose, I'm just going to take my Anastasia Beverly Hills A23 brush, and I'm simply just going to buff it on along the side, and it is literally the perfect brush on the top to really just kind of brush against the nose. I'm going to go on the nose, underneath, and on the, and if you compare now to the other side, you can see that this side is definitely shaded compared to this side, but it's not like crazy contoured. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side too. Just go back and forth a couple of times and just build up that bronze. For blusher today, I'm going to be taking my Bare Minerals blusher in the Natural High. And I'm going to be using the exact same blusher brush. I'm one of those makeup artists that uses one brush for a couple of things, and I actually think that's kind of good, especially if you're watching at home and you have got huge budgets to be spending on brushes and things which are ridiculously expensive. It makes your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to be taking the same brush, and I'm going to be taking the Natural High blusher by Bare Minerals, and I'm just going to smile. And I'm not going to do it directly on the apples of my cheeks. I'm going to do it on the slight side, and I'm just going to blend that upwards. And I'm going to do the exact same on the other side. And I'm not going to be using too much of this because the Bare Minerals blushes are quite pigmented, so I'm just going to be using a little bit. And this beautiful blusher, as you can see, has got a slight highlight in it. It kind of gives me a nice little glow. However, for highlighter, I'm still going to be using my Soft and Gentle by MAC. And I'm just going to dust off that brush onto my towel to make sure there's no bronze on it. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the Soft and Gentle, and I'm just going to run it along my cheekbone. And as you can see, it just gives you a really nice glow. You can kind of go crazy with this. If you're really into highlighter, like, just keep going. I don't want to be looking like I'm too shiny. And I'm just going to run it along the end of my nose and on my cupid's bow. And all along, you can see that it just kind of gives a nice little glow. Last but not least, Ashton lipstick by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This, I would say, is probably one of my favourite lipsticks at the moment. You've probably seen it if you follow me on Instagram that I have been using it. So I'm just going to take the wand. I'm not going to be using a lip liner. I'm going to go on the bottom in the middle. I'm going to put my lips together. Then I'm just going to go around here, so, like so. I'm sorry, I was covering you up. I was like, hi, yeah, can you see what I'm doing? Sorry. So I've just gone over my cupid's bow. And then I'm just going to join up the corners into the middle, like so. And then I'm just going to do it underneath. That's the end of my gold Makeup Geek eyeshadow tutorial. I hope you guys did like it. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and do comment below. You can also follow me, guys, on Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat. And if you wanted to book in for any appointments or for weddings, you can email me with my email and information below. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I shall see you soon.